This is the Sisterhood Society podcast, where three sisters talk life, food, fashion, kids, and everything in between. Become part of our sisterhood where everyone is welcome at our table.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Sisterhood Society, which I guess we could say welcome back to season 2 of Sisterhood
Here we
Society.
are.
Here we are. Yay. Okay, so we have been sort of teasing some sort of like nuance thing here, and we've been talking about it a little bit with you guys, and you guys have been asking where the podcast was. So we actually had a meeting with our podcast manager, and we decided to kind of like not rebrand, but kind of like restructure how we wanted to do the podcast, how we wanted to structure essentially like the future of Sisterhood Society. So our biggest announcement is that we signed with a network. So yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
What do you mean you forgot?
I forgot that was, that's actually really big news.
A really big announcement.
We've just
talked
kind of had
about
a lot
it.
going on.
Yeah, we have. I mean, when do we not have a lot going on? But the end of October, Jesse actually approached us about a podcast network that's under the umbrella of iHeartRadio. So we are now proud members of that. So we may or may not have ad sponsorships starting on the podcast, which is really exciting for us because we are like a baby in the world of podcast land. And then Whitney, do you want to tell them about something else exciting that's coming for podcast listeners?
Do you remember what it is?
I just said it.
No, I know.
Right before we started.
I know, I'm teasing.
Oh.
Are we wanting to like go ahead, or are we just wanting to give them a little teaser taste?
Well, I think that we should tell them it's coming so that they can anticipate like what, when they want to do it.
Okay, guys, something is coming. I'm just kidding. We are doing a Patreon account.
Yay!
So
Oh my
a lot
gosh.
of just like behind the scenes videos and things like that. So you guys can kind of get a look into our lives behind behind the podcast, behind the brand, and kind of see what's going on.
Yes, it'll have extra content than what you're getting on the podcast. So there'll be extra podcast episodes in the Patreon and then extra footage. So some of the first of it is actually footage from our Florida trip that we're currently putting together for you. So it'll be fun.
I was saying that like with other podcasters that I watch, like obviously you get like snippets of their life from social, but you don't really get like the full behind the scenes unless you're a Patreon member. And so we've talked about this a lot of what are people really looking for, which is like a full access type of scenario. And it's not something that we've been able to like accomplish, I think, on social, because you can only get such small snippets of people's life on like stories because you only have 60 seconds. And then in addition to that, live videos are so hit or miss with like who you can connect with and stuff. So if you guys are looking for more of us, that's going to be coming soon. It won't be like some exorbitant price point. And we're hoping to have like 5 different pieces of content a month on the Patreon is what we're going to be shooting for. So we're pre-filming some stuff now and some extra content to put on there. So when it's ready to launch, you guys will have like enough to binge of us. So this episode today is just going to be like a quick catch up. We do actually have another episode going to go up. I think we're starting with 2 on season 1, right? We're going to do these 2 and then this one and then Isaac's episode.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you guys, by the time this episode launches, there will be another episode out where we interviewed Whitney's husband. I think it's a good episode, honestly.
I liked it.
I thought it was fun.
He seemed like really jolly afterwards too. I think deep down he's actually a words of affirmation guy.
Yeah, he loved the compliment game for sure.
He was like, wow, this is nice.
Yeah, clearly I just didn't know that. And I'm not a words of affirmation person, so I don't think to do them, but he clearly appreciates that.
You could just revitalize your marriage with just some words of affirmation.
He was just like walking around kind of strutting his stuff all day. I was like, okay.
He wasn't even saying like, he would just be like, nice. Like we'd be like, you're such a good dad. And he'd be like, nice.
Like, yeah, I know. I am a good dad. Yes. Thank you for the comment.
So yeah, that episode is going out with this like reintroduction kind of season 2 intro. One thing I think we should tell the followers about is how we are We are some skinny bitches right now, you guys. We are.
We're on the road. We're on the road.
We have each lost 2 pounds, and it's very exciting.
And the camera adds 10 pounds. So
It
don't
does, so
take this by,
take
I
it with
was
a grain of
telling,
salt.
as soon as we hopped on, I said to Whit, I'm like, I was feeling pretty decent about myself till I look in the Zoom camera and my face just looks like it's like this.
Hey,
It doesn't.
We started here and we can just only go up from here.
Only
you
go
know?
up from here.
So like in like March 15th, we're gonna like have everybody look back at this episode, and I want to tell you, you will no longer see these double chins.
My jowls will hopefully be gone.
So yeah, I actually was gonna say we were going to do 75 hard again in the spring, because me and Tara did it last year, and we really, I don't know if liked is the word, like I guess we liked it.
I think we appreciated the experience.
Yes.
I feel like Tara really enjoyed it. Kate was like loathing every minute.
Yeah, well, let me just say this. There was aspects of it that I really liked, and then aspects of it that I was like hating. And I just remember you were reading the book, like you started reading the 75 hard book at like week 2. And I texted you and I was like, it was like day 30. And I was like, I literally hate this. I want to give up. This is the dumbest challenge. And you were like, the book said that you would say that today. And she was like, day 30 is like the day that everyone wants to throw in the towel, because you're 1/3 of the way through and you're not really like halfway, and you're super annoyed because you're sick of doing the walks and you're sick of working out twice. But now that I've done it, I don't know if I'll have the same reaction that I did the first time.
Because you know what to expect. And
Right.
like, I think that, I think the biggest thing that's different is that we've just said like, okay, we're going to be like, we're not going to do nonfiction. We're just
Right.
going to read. So whether
Yeah.
it's our devotions or a book that we're enjoying, like, I feel like reading is good for your mind regardless. So we are taking some liberties with it this time around, but we thought like, why not get a head start before the holidays and try to get going then the whole typical January 1st. Because, you know, like why not have like a 30-day head start? So I'm excited for it. Like, it's just nice to get back and moving, especially post surgery. I haven't done anything since my surgery. And then even before that, like when we stopped 75 hard, like our official date, like when we ended was like March 15th, essentially. Yeah. And that was like our final day. And then I would say I was still really hardcore with it for at least another month and a half. I think it was like early May before I actually like took a break and like missed a day on my walks. And it's a slippery slope. As soon as you miss a day, you're like, oh, I'll get back to it tomorrow. And then you just don't. And then you would think that walking in the summertime would make way more sense than walking in the winter, but there's something about my hat and my coat and my double pants and all the stuff. I have pockets for my phone. When you do walk in the summer, it's easy to get super hot and there's no place to hold your phone. And then your hands are sweaty and you like, it's almost like I need a fanny pack. Like I do kind of like the winter walking.
The difference between doing 75 hard cold in the cold versus the hot is I usually go to I didn't this morning because I'm gonna have to do my workouts later, but I usually go to the gym in the morning and I'll do my full 45 minutes for the indoor workout. Then I'll come home and shower and get ready. And then when I do my walk at night, I'm not like sweating, or if I do, it's like so minimal where I don't have to like re-shower and re-get ready. So like, we didn't know this, but we went out to dinner with Jake and Coda last night and it was trivia night, which was actually like so fun at the restaurant we were at. But like they were going to Coda's like rec volleyball game. And I was like, I'm going to be in athleisure. And they're like, so are we. So like, wear what you got to wear. So I literally just wore like joggers and a sweatshirt and like a raincoat and my tennis shoes that I walked in. And I didn't have to like stress over what I was wearing, or like the fact that I didn't have to like redo my makeup and shower. So you're not really like melting. Like if I walked in the middle of July in Nashville, even if it was at 5 o'clock, I would still be needing to re-shower.
Well, even when we did it at spring break, I mean, it was hotter than blazes in March. And I was like a sweaty mess every time we were going out and walking. But Kate sent me a text last night. We were like talking through some TikTok stuff, and out of nowhere, she's like, we saw my parents last night and Jakey asked us to go to trivia night, which was really fun. And I was like, your parents? Like, she's like, sorry, that was for Libs. And I was like, that makes way more sense. Like,
she's like, why are you saying you're seeing your parents?
And then I was like, usually you don't call him Jakey to me. So that's why I was just like, I was confused. The whole thing like didn't make sense.
That's
so
funny.
It made more sense that it was not meant for me.
Exactly. I know I was in Target and my phone was dying and we were trying to find shampoo and a bath mat for all of our guest rooms because we had people coming. So that's why I was distracted. Okay. So Whitney, why don't you give us a little life update?
Life update. Well, we went to Florida and then my family got sick. So I was out most of the week, not out sick, but I was like sick most of the week last week, and I'm finally recovered. So it was a great week to start. I'm not really doing 75 hard. I'm just doing my normal workout now. But before I was kind of skipping them depending on how I was feeling. And now I'm actually pushing myself to do them. And I am doing more of a keto type diet just because when I like put myself in a like keto diet, quote unquote, I stay away from sugar and carbs more, and my body really responds well to that. I get like, I think I've got like a gluten intolerance, and sugar kind of puts me in a weird slump, even though I'm addicted to it. So I feel like when I'm in keto or when I do like a keto type diet, I do really well on it. So yeah, I started that on Monday, and then I'm down 3 pounds and it's been great. I feel better. I feel like my brain fog is finally going away and my body is kind of healing. And so it just feels like a good move. And then the fact that you guys are doing 75 hard too kind of makes me feel like I've got the accountability, make sure I'm doing my workouts every day and sticking to like my diet. And I have like somebody else to like chat about it with.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that makes a massive difference in goal setting because it's more exciting to celebrate the wins. Like when something good happens, when you have someone to like tell like, oh my gosh, I lost a pound. So I feel like that's really helpful. And I would never, like, if I was with you and you had a cookie, like I wouldn't be like, we're not supposed to be eating that. But I think also like it helps you kind of be like, accountable to like eating what you're supposed to, et cetera. We kind of said we were going to set this up like doing it before the holidays, being really loose with it the week of Christmas, just because, not because we are going to go off the rails with eating, but just because we don't know how much time we're going to have between working, doing all the holiday stuff, and then like traveling, because I'll be going to Bloomington. So we said we're going to be kind of loose with it the week of Christmas and then get back to it. But I just remember when we talked about doing 75 hard last year, did we talk about it on New Year's Day? Because we started the 2nd, right?
Yeah, we talked about it on,
or did we talk about it on the morning of the 2nd? Because I think you were like, I'm going to do it. And then I didn't do my walk until like 9 o'clock at night.
That's right. It was later in the day on the 2nd that we had talked about it because our friend Brittany had started it on the 1st.
Yeah.
And we decided to start on the 2nd. So I started asking her questions about it. I listened to the podcast, started like reading stuff about it. And I just remember her saying like, don't go into it saying like, I'll see how it goes. You go into it saying, I'm going to do this. And I will say that does make a difference. Like it's, and if you with 75 hard, if you fail, then you start over again, stuff like that. And I do feel like that's a little bit annoying because it's very self-defeating to start back over, but then just picking up where you left off.
Right. Well, and also 75 hard, I think the actual like tracking days, we're not going to start that until the new year, that we're just like doing the steps of all the things. Whitney was like, I'll do it, but I'm not going to do the outdoor workout. She's like, I'll work out for an hour and a half, but
for me, I just needed to make it realistic. I feel like if I put too much on myself, like doing 2 45 workouts a day, like it's hard for me to find time just for one 45-minute workout.
Yeah.
And like, I'd rather be sleeping in the morning than going out and going outside and doing a 45-minute walk. So like, there's just certain things where I'm like, you know what, I'll make it work for me. Like, I know that I'm capable of doing one 45-minute workout. And I know that I'm capable of eating according to like a keto type plan. And so, and obviously I read already every day, so that's not really a thing, but I feel like that alone, I was like, that's manageable for me. I'm not overwhelmed by it. And I feel like I can succeed at it. And that's kind of where I know that I'll do well. It's not
Right.
if it becomes too much and it's like all of a sudden an hour and a half workout, can't find time for it, I get overwhelmed, and that
Mhm.
immediately is defeating for me, and I won't stick to it because I'm like, I can't meet the expectation, so I'm not even going to try. So I'm like very all or nothing. So I want to make sure that like I set up my goals, not like low or anything, but like at a realistic place where I know that I can succeed at them and do well. And that's kind of where I'll thrive.
I will say the one thing that I think that we realized why we liked doing 75 hard in the winter, even though everyone was like, you guys are nuts trying to trudge through snow when it's like 12 inches. There's not as much going on. Like from January to March, there's just not as much going on. Like people aren't out as much, like you're just not doing as many things. And as soon as we hit April and May and the weather got nicer, your activities increase, like you're outside more, you're doing more with your family, you're doing with more with your kids. And it just became a lot harder to coordinate, like getting 2 workouts in. And so I will say that there was a difference with that did make more sense to do it from January to March than to do it from like April to September. So,
Yeah, I feel like my entire friend group in January last year had COVID.
yeah.
What was the strand that was really popular?
Omicron.
Omicron.
Okay.
How do you pronounce that?
Omicron.
Everybody got Omicron. How do you pronounce that?
Is it Omicron or whatever?
Omicron?
Omicron. That's what it was. That's what it was.
Everyone got Omicron at Christmas last year, and then it like trickled into January. And so literally the entire month, like Natalie, who is one of my good friends, was watching my parents' dogs, and she got it from one of our friends. And so she was here, but she was like quarantined. We couldn't see her. So like everybody was like quarantining in January. So last year I didn't remember feeling like I missed out on anything.
Well,
it wasn't until
you had tons of trips that got canceled because of it too.
I forgot about that. Yeah, like a bunch of Phil's shows got canceled. It was just like between weather and like sickness. It was like we just everything kept getting shut down.
Anyway, I think the most wild though, I would say the craziest thing that we ever did was the night that it snowed so ridiculously hard, and you and I shoveled a path down the driveway, and then we walked, like Brian made us a path like in front of the house, and we just walked like back and forth entire tracks, like down to one end of the street and then back for 45 minutes.
So dumb. Just go on your treadmill, or I guess you don't have one, but you have an elliptical. So that's my thing. I'm like, why make it difficult? I'll just go in the basement and walk in an incline for 45 minutes.
I think it's like the mental part of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's more the mental game of it all, of being like, I'm capable of doing this. Because, well, I'll just give you my life update quick, and then I'll have Tara do hers. So we're in like a middle weird holding spot with IVF. And last year I thought I was going to be starting IVF in the summer. Like that was kind of like my thought process. And I was thinking, I need to like make sure I'm tough enough to get through it. Cause I've been watching Laura Beverland's stories, who's like a fashion influencer, and that poor thing has like literally been through it.
Did they get their results back?
Yeah. So they got back their results, and they're gray, which means they're like borderline. So technically they're calling her pregnant, but she's going in today for another test to make sure her HCG levels, is that what's called? HGC?
Yeah.
That HCG have doubled. And if so, then she's like more in the clear. But right now it's like, they're technically like announcing her as pregnant, but saying like it could change by today. So then, and like she posts videos of like her doing the injections. And I think just like watching her journey made me like realize I need to like mentally toughen myself. So that's why I did it the first time, because I was like, I need to know that I'm capable of handling something really tough. And I think I know that from just like the job that we do. Like owning your own business is like probably the most mentally challenging thing you can ever do in your life. Just because it's like a constant pivot. But I think that was like the main reason that I wanted to like try it. So it's probably less like about the weight loss in that regard when we did it last year, whereas this time I really like want to get weight off before I start injections. So my quick update is Phil got off tour, and we had started kind of the IVF process in August. And I had surgery to have a polyp removed, which was like a big hurdle. I didn't realize we were going to have to go through. And then I'd had some other tests done. And then we both had blood work, genetic testing done that made us aware that we're both positive for the same genetic disease called Pompe. And if you Google Pompe disease, it's like gut wrenching. I don't know if you'd look, if you just Google images Pompe disease, you'll get an idea of what your life would look like. And so in some senses, I've said this a lot, but if you've been praying for a why for a really long time, and then you get it and it just really sucks, then you're like, oh, I didn't know. I don't know if I want to know the why. You know what I mean? That's kind of where it was. And there's just been so many setbacks in this journey that's made it feel just exhausting, I think. But anyways, so because of that, we have a 25% chance, no matter what we do, whether it was IVF or getting pregnant naturally, to pass it to a child. So we had to get genetic testing done with our parents. And there was a big faux pas with the spit test because all of our parents had to submit a spit test. And that wasted another month. So anyways, all 4 parents' spit are currently in transit to the lab as of Monday. Both Mom and Kevin and Vicky were like, our spit is in transit. And then we all have to do cheek swab tests. All 6 of us is the next step. And then once those are submitted, they'll start on the test probe, which will be made to actually test our embryos. So the whole point of it is that they're hoping to harvest between 12 and 20 eggs. They're hoping to fertilize all of them and keep 6 to 8. And they're hoping to end up after with all the testing with 3. So he was like, do you want 6 kids? And I was like, no, I only want 2 or 3. And he's like, okay, I'm confident I can give you 2 or 3. I'm like, okay, well, that's good. So anyways, there's kind of a weird layer now of even though we can't get pregnant naturally, we're like, should I go back and get an IUD again? Because if we were to get pregnant naturally by a freak of nature and I was able to pass this to a child, I don't know, but our doctors pretty much said it's virtually impossible for that to happen, even though it still happens for people, so there's this weird kind of morally gray, I feel area where we don't really know what to do about that. But it's been really nice, being off of all birth control and stuff and not having to stress about that anymore, because I just hate the way it makes me feel. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's been a really good season to have a break from it mentally, but I feel even in the background, there's still stuff that we still get that's bad news that makes it constantly feel a draining process. But I had a friend tell me once, she's like, if you don't treat it like a a part-time job, you'll never get anywhere. So you literally have to stay on top of it as your own best advocate, because no one will do it for you. So I've really taken that to heart of staying up on all of it. Otherwise, knowing that there's going to be no forward movement with the whole process. So yeah, it's good. It's not bad news. It's just a delay, if you will. But I'm assuming based on the time frame that we would start injections in the spring, February is kind of the time frame I'm thinking, because if they get the spit test and the cheek swabs in the next month, and then it takes 4 weeks, I'm assuming we would pick a cycle in February. Which means I could be hella pregnant at Christmas time, but which I don't know, having a baby at Christmas is I feel bad for the child, but you can't really time these things. I guess I could wait a month and have a January baby, but
Ever was born December 30th.
Yeah,
she loves it.
That's better. You're she told me that's better than having a baby that has a birthday on December 22nd.
Yeah.
We have a cousin with a birthday on the 23rd, our cousin Katie, and she always said she definitely feels it gets overshadowed.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know how it couldn't. I mean, even with Britain's on January 5th, it's not so much that her birthday gets overshadowed, because I feel we still celebrate it, but it's just annoying for everyone else because they literally just got her a slew of presents. And then you're like, okay, what does she want for her birthday? Right. There's nothing left to get her. It's just it's dumb. I've considered on multiple occasions, since all 3 kids are in August, switching her switching when we celebrate her birthday to just August 5th, just calling it a day and saying like everybody's birthday's in August. But I just feel like that's, I don't know. I feel like everyone should have their own special day. It's a little weird to not like.
That's such a mom of four thing to do. Like everyone's just, your birthday's all one
all in August.
I know, I'm sitting there, I'm like, poor Brittany, she can't celebrate her birthday on her birthday.
Because the struggle is that it's freezing cold out, so you can't do anything, right? You can't really, it's like everyone else can have a swim party. She can't unless you do it indoors. And then in addition to that, it's everyone else is having birthdays and presents in August and she's not. So then it's always this thing like, why can't I get some? You know, she's just not old enough yet to understand like she'll have her day. But she's very quick to rub it in everyone else's face in January when she gets it by herself. So
see, that's like probably more special because I remember in Florida one year, I think it was Britton, Indy, or maybe it was just Britton and Indy. Mom had a birthday party for Brecken and Briley and Riv, and Britton and Indy did not understand why the cupcakes weren't for them and that the presents weren't for them. I think they were both like 2.
Yeah.
And it was like an all out like cry fest. It was so funny because Riv's trying to open his gifts and Indy's trying to open Riv's gifts. And so they're screaming at each other. Brecken and Briley are opening gifts and being like, no, Britton, it's ours. Like, you can't have our cupcakes. Like everyone's like just mad at each other. And I just remember laughing the whole time because everyone's just crying. Like they don't understand like that this birthday's not for them. Which I get, like mom was trying to make a special moment, which was really sweet, but it was just so funny because everyone was so pissed.
The last time we were there, was it spring break when we tried to celebrate all the birthdays or we tried to celebrate the spring birthdays and then mom just got everybody a gift?
Yeah.
Oh,
was
funny.
Spring break?
I think it was.
Yeah.
It was just one
For the
big
exam.
birthday party.
I think she learned her lesson. It was like, we're just, everybody gets a crown, everybody gets a cupcake, everybody gets a present.
See, I don't remember being jealous of people's birthdays, but I do remember like wanting to have gifts, but I don't ever remember. But also, I don't remember what I was like at 3. I remember how I started feeling at 4, 5, and 6. Like, I don't, isn't it weird to think about like your memories don't really exist before you're like 5?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I remember a lot of stuff from 3 and 4, but yes, I agree. It is like, it's weird how I feel like there's a lot of my adult life that I've just like forgotten.
Yeah.
So I was thinking about that with your kids because we were standing inside the restaurant one night and I was asking Briley and Britton about one of the older houses we stayed at in Florida. I'm like, do you guys remember it? And they were like, no. And I was like, how do they not remember the house? Like, it's just weird.
Because it's been 4 years ago? I mean, Britton was only like 1.5. I mean, she would have been.
Yeah. But I was thinking like, because Brecken and Riv pretty much remember everything from those times because they were like 3, but it's just weird to think that your kids have like no recollection. Like, it's weird that they won't really remember anything about you until later, like that these years, not that they don't matter, like that they won't have an impression of you, but it's weird to think that like their
that might be a good thing because then you have some time to like really figure it out before they start to remember.
You're like, okay, you're 6 now, I really got to start trying with you. You will remember together. But that's true. I mean, my formidable memories of our parents was like from kindergarten on.
Oh yeah.
So
sure.
You guys really got to start buckling it up over there. You got some kindergartners. Do you have a life update?
Nothing overly specific. I, obviously had the tummy tuck back in August, and that has been the slowest recovery I think I've ever been through in my entire life. This is getting back to us working out. This is like the first time I've done any movement essentially since the end of August. And so still have swelling, which is kind of crazy, and like still sore from the lipo that they did for the body contouring. But they said that just will continue to slowly go down. So I still feel like I'm wearing a small corset every single day, which is very odd. But and by the end of the day, it's always increased. Like it's always more puffy and stuff come by the end of the evening, which I guess that's natural with your stomach usually looks bigger at night than in the morning.
Right.
So that just took a really, really long time. Obviously Florida, we went to Florida. That was a nice, just like change of scenery. Like it was cold the whole week we were there, but it was just nice to be in a different place and being able to do stuff together. It's been a busy fall, like a good fall, but a busy fall. And Brian got a job at Rivian here just recently. So he started like right when we got back from Florida. So that's been a new transition for us. Like he's now working later hours, which, you know, he hadn't been doing, he had been home at like 3:30. So that's been a change. And then it felt like we got back from Florida. I felt like I was in like La La Land in Florida, and then we got back and it was like, wham, it's the holidays. You know, it was just like, I felt like I was just underwater from the minute we got back. Like I just felt like it took me like 3 days to come out of the vacation fog. We did like 8 loads of laundry, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, Christmas is here. And I just was like, you know what I mean? I just feel like I'm holding on for dear life right now and trying to keep my head above water with all the stuff that's going on. So anyway, it's been good, but busy for sure. So I'm hoping that we don't really have a lot going on in December, but it's, you know, the kids have Christmas programs and they each have one. So we have 2 of those. I'm helping a friend with an event Saturday. Brian signed us up for some Christmas thing on Sunday with Rivian. The kids want to do some deck the halls thing at school tomorrow. So anyway, it's just kind of like it's filling up, and it always fills up so fast.
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, my weekend. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, we have a holiday party tomorrow night. By the way, my dress shipped and is supposed to be here today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It didn't say shipped until last night, but it's in Champaign. I was like, what the heck?
Those are good odds.
Yeah, shocking. I did exactly what we tell our customers not to do.
You waited till the last minute?
I waited till the last minute. I'm like, why did I not grab? Because the dress that I got is one that we have on our website. But it was
always buy the dress before you need it.
Oh my gosh. It makes me so angry because I'm like, what the heck? I wanted to find something that looked kind of like a men's button-up shirt, but like a little dressier. And the one that I got ended up not fitting. So I was like in a scramble. And the one that I ended up buying that's supposed to be shipped today is on our website, but I got it off Amazon because I was like, I needed 2 days shipped. And it took them like a full week to get to me. So I could have bought it from our own website. So I'm just really annoyed with myself. Don't do what I'm doing, guys. Go shop on our website in advance if you see something you like.
I actually do holiday shopping. Like I make a holiday wardrobe in November.
Yeah.
So I bought stuff from Royal and Reese and another boutique, and I just stocked up on it. I got like 3 holiday blazers. I got a velvet suit. I got 3 dresses. I'm prepared for any type of party I get invited to because I just like to have an excuse to wear like Christmas plaid.
Yeah. Well, if you see something you like, get it then and there. You know, you
Yeah.
don't need like a specific reason to have it because you know you're going to need it later. And that's what I should have done. But I was like, oh, I don't need this right now. But the fact when I do need something, I scramble every single freaking time. I've asked you multiple times. I'm like, hey, do you have something I can wear? And you're always like, yeah, I have this, this, and this, and this. And I end up like shopping Tara's closet because I legit never end up having anything. It's so annoying. I hate that about myself.
I forgot one update about Thanksgiving. And so Whit was actually sick. Actually, several people were sick, but we still had like 28 people. Our mom's extended family does Thanksgiving still. And it was, I just like look back on it. It was just like the nicest day. Like it was
because I wasn't there.
No. I'm just saying in general, like you know, a lot of times you end up
that bitch Whitney stayed home and it was just so pleasant that she wasn't there.
But you know how it feels like you end up talking a lot of times to the same person or the same group of people the entire time. And it was just one of those days where like I had a chance to have a conversation with like 10 different people throughout the day, like in true conversation, not just like, hey, it's good to see you. How are you? You know, like I felt like when I left, I was like, oh, I got a chance to talk to them and I got to catch up with them. And it was just like one of those days where you walk away just feeling really fulfilled. It was
That's
nice.
Sweet. Yeah.
And this, I don't think Michelle listens to the podcast, but this little shout out to Michelle. She's hilarious. And I know she's our cousin's wife. And we sat and just like laughed about like weight loss and like wanting to eat more than we want to lose weight. And like, you know, all this, like being the chubby girl in our friend group and like, all like, I just enjoy her so much, like between parenting and just all the things, we just sat and laughed and laughed and laughed. And so anyway, it was just a really good day. But I got a chance to talk to Hillary for a little bit right before they left. And our cousin Hillary is, she does I'm going to say
bikini bodybuilding.
Okay. I want to make sure I was saying the right phrase. And so we were talking and I was saying, I am always just so inspired by her. Not that I want to do bodybuilding, but
an inspiration.
Yeah. Because she just has so much dedication and so much, like willpower and like tenacity with it to stick with it and to do these like prep seasons. And I mean, it's just, it looks intense.
Yeah.
And I was saying that when you're trying to lose weight, like especially post baby, you know, wanting to get 40, 50, 60 pounds off, it's so defeating and it's so dang overwhelming, right? Like you to stick with it for that amount of time to get it all off just feels like such a long road. And, anyway, what was encouraging is that she was just like, I'm not always dedicated to it at all. She's like, I've really, really struggled with the mental game piece of it to the point that she actually has somebody that she works with. Not a counselor, but like a coach type of thing.
Yeah. She's got like a mental coach.
Yeah.
Which I thought was so cool. I love that our generation now, it's not a faux pas to reach out if you need help. And there's like so many people out there that you can like reach out to, which I think is so rad.
But her point is to take everything in a small snippet. Don't look at 60 pounds, look at 5. And then just like make really, really small goals for yourself because you'll get overwhelmed by the total. And I know I've heard that before, but for some reason, when she said it, it just made more sense. And she was like, celebrate the wins along the way, because it's way easier to celebrate 5 pounds than it is to celebrate 60. And, but it was interesting to like, just talk to her, because when you're watching her online, which is so typical of Instagram, but it's easy to just see like how amazing she's doing and not know all the inner workings of like how hard it's been to be able to do all that. Right. And so it just was, I guess it was just reassuring that even someone who's doing something like this extreme, intense, like program is still struggling with the aspect of like, I want to eat some Sour Patch Kids and I want to eat the whole box, you know, like that sort of thing. So anyway.
So yeah, I was actually going to say, I'm actually, speaking of Hillary, I'm having dinner with her tonight, but,
I always forget she's still in Nashville.
Yeah. She actually has a new food plan. So I'm picking up food and going to her house so she can like not have to pack like a little.
Let her know she's got a little
box.
shout out on the podcast.
I know I should. But she
actually, oh wait, one more thing. She gave me like the ultimate compliment at Thanksgiving. She said she loves my Instagram and it's so relatable, even though she doesn't have kids. And I was like, that is honestly like one of the ultimate compliments to me, that I can be relatable to people who don't have children. And it's not just like, oh, more kid content.
That's really cute. Well, first of all, Hillary's like the salt of the earth, because she's like the easiest person to talk to ever. And I feel like on both sides for me, but especially with our family, I mean, I feel this way with the Lawsons too, but I feel like we have a very extraordinarily odd gift of being very close to family, like cousins, extended family. Like we just grew up, even on our dad's side for the most part, like we grew up so close to our cousins and our aunts and uncles that like time can pass and it will feel like no time has passed, because each side really like valued time together. And so I feel like, especially with mom's side of the family, those cousins are just like extraordinarily close, which I feel like is very unusual for families, that like we have that gift. And honestly, some of my best and closest friends in life are my cousins. So I have a handful of girl cousins, and even some of my guy cousins that I could like share my heart to and it wouldn't be weird, you know. I was thinking about this the other day too, because our cousin on our dad's side just moved to Nashville, and he's an attorney and has a really cool job. So every time I talk to him, I ask him like 7,000 questions, but I hadn't seen him in 10 years. Like I can't remember the last time we saw each other. And we've hung out twice in the last like 6 weeks. And it's like been fine, like totally easy. So great. And I leave being like, oh, I just love him. Like, it's just so funny. We're so different and our ages are so spread. Like is he 40?
He's my age.
Yeah, he's like 42 and I'm 33. But like, I think it's just that basis of like our parents really instilling that in our lives. And so like there's like a closeness there and like a priority. Like it was really cute. His daughter had never met me and she's like 12. And he was like, Audrey, do you remember Kate? And she's like, no. And he's like, this is my cousin. He's like, you need to get to know her. She's special, or like something like that. Like he's made like a cute little comment, like, which I thought was really sweet. And I'm obsessed with his wife too. So anyways,
she's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, she's so great. So anyways, we have really good family. But what I was going to say about Hillary was we have Bible study with our mom, and she does it like right now it's been like once a month. And of course, our mom like makes the food, and it's always like really amazing. Sometimes mom goes in phases where like she'll be like, oh, I'm cooking really healthy. And then other meals, it's like, this will be like a Midwest indulgent meal. It kind of just depends. But she always makes really good desserts. And she has this like, do you guys know the cake that she makes that's like a wet cake?
Mm-hmm. I think it's called wet look cake.
No, it's called shoot. Every time she makes it, she makes us
Texas sheet cake?
No, it's like white cake, but it has this like glaze on it, and it's made in a bundt pan.
Oh, I've never had that.
I've never seen
Really?
that.
She started making it for Bible study, and then she would have us take home stuff to the husbands. And now the other day she made that shepherd's pie, bishop's pie. And then for us, and then she made the wet look cake or whatever for our husbands. Like we didn't even eat the cake at Bible study. She literally made it as a to-go thing.
Side note about the bishop's pie. So I'm on an eating plan, or I was before I switched to keto. So I didn't eat a whole lot of it, but I wanted to try a bite because everybody was talking about this bishop's pie. It literally, and no offense to mom, but I'm just surprised.
It's like chocolate pudding.
Number one, why is it in grandma's cookbook? Because it's so random, but it legit is chocolate pudding on top of a pie crust. And I'm like,
it's graham cracker, and then there's like whipped cream on the top.
Yeah, it has ice cream in it too. It's weird. Brian literally ate almost the entire pie himself. He was like, "This is amazing. Like, your mom needs to make this again." And I was like, "It's chocolate pudding." Like,
confused.
I didn't. It wasn't bad, but I was like, I'm not gonna make this again.
Let me preface this by saying our moms and our aunts, their standard of food is
high,
very high, like through the roof.
But it was everybody at Thanksgiving liked it.
They grew up with Grandma Tilly, who instilled that. Like she grew up, if she didn't hand make everything, it wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Even when she didn't hand make stuff, she would still be really picky about how she made things. And so our aunts and our mom now cook that way, which is awesome. I'm very thankful for that because it's instilled.
Also, just gotta say, I got asked to bring dessert, so I have been upgraded from bread.
Oh, that's great. So anyways,
don't botch the potatoes for the Newsbound Thanksgiving. A little PSA. You botch the potatoes,
you don't get asked back.
They instilled that in us too, and their standard for us is to make sure we do our best. So I mean, they wouldn't ever say that, but it's kind of implied.
I just remember one year, I think it was Tara that brought the potatoes, and I don't remember which aunt it was. And even if we remember, don't say it because we shouldn't call anyone out. But they're like scooping their potatoes onto their plate, and they were like, "Who made these?" And
they were a little too thick. They were too thick.
They really like soupy
Newsbound standards. They were too thick.
Like they're like really whipped and almost like soupy mashed potatoes, like the softest. They look like a pillow. Yeah. And me and Walls were just watching them dish their plate, and they're like, "Who made the mashed potatoes?" And someone answered Tara, and they're like, "Oh."
Yeah, never again. Never be heard from again.
Never allowed to make the mashed potatoes. Also, that's like the biggest like part of the meal is like they do turkey and mashed potatoes. So if you mess up like one of the staples, like you can't.
And the funny part is there was like nothing wrong with them, but you know how when they've been in the crock pot a little bit, they have a tendency to like thicken up, right?
Yeah.
And so when mom left the house, she made the potatoes this year. When she left the house, they were literally a milky, buttery soup.
They have to be because they get a little gelatinous over time.
So that way, then when you actually scoop it on their plate, it's still like sauce,
right?
Onto your plate. And mine just did not have enough milk and butter.
The starch tends to stiffen things up.
So for the next, who knows how many, that was like what, 4 years ago? I have been asked to bring snacks or bread. For 4 years.
Not a staple.
I have been brought back from oblivion to dessert. That's how you work your way back. I might make it to salad in a couple of years.
True.
Nah, you'd have to pry that out of shards. Hold dead hands, Tara.
Oh, what I was going to say about Hillary, going back to the ending comment about that, we were saying that she.
Side note, though, I was just surprised that the pudding and the
dessert
pie, that was the whole point of my bringing that up. The whole pudding and the pie, whatever. I was like shocked that
it was such a hit. Yeah.
Very shocked.
Okay. It kind of had a French silk vibe, so I can understand because they really like French silk.
Because that, like, actually,
I don't like French silk either. So I mean, that's, I guess.
Loves that. I make it for him. But anyways.
Anyway, back to Hillary.
Oh, what I was going to say now, I feel like it doesn't even matter, to say, because it's been so long since we talked about this because we got into soupy potatoes. But she was saying that when she's at places that have something tempting, that she'll check in with herself every few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually thinking that's really good because I did that last night. I ordered a salad at this place that's known for burgers, and I really wanted Phil's sweet potato fries. And so I was like, I'll just take like 3. And then I ate 4 or 5. And then I was like, okay, I need to check in with myself. I don't need any more fries. Like, I got the taste. Do you remember how I used to always be like, I know what a donut tastes like?
I just thought of that the other day.
Every time I was doing keto and I would see a donut, I'd be like, hey, you already know what donuts taste like. You don't need to try it. And that's how I would like talk myself out of eating sugar. And if you just like take 1 extra second to think about it before you eat it, chances are you can be like, yeah, I don't need to taste that. But then if you do, it's okay. You know what I mean? So that's what I did with myself last night with the sweet potato fries. But she also said that was something that her, like, that mental coach was teaching her, is like every few minutes, like, check in with like your emotions. And if people are eating around you things that you can't have, or don't, like, not that you can't have them, but aren't eating because of your goals, like, what are you saying to yourself in those moments?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whether people are making comments about what you're eating, or you just need to like convince yourself that you're okay in that moment.
Yeah, because I think it's really easy to be like, oh, I wish I could eat those. Oh, it's so sad that I'm in this place that I can't eat those, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's really easy to go switch into the negative and then just feel really bummed out about like your goals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I feel like I thrive with keto.
And then I
still
see
eat a lot of things.
Then I see Hillary's body and I'm like, yeah, I really don't need a donut because she looks so good.
See, like, the bikini bodybuilding world is wild. And it's
insane.
like, it's really healthy. Like,
Mhm.
I know that they, like, obviously some extremes, you may not be as healthy as what you probably should be. But with bikini bodybuilding, they're eating pro-metabolically, and they're eating, for the most part, they're eating really healthily. And then you get like what they call it is a refeed meal, like once a week, unless you're in like prep because you're prepping for a show, like if you're doing competing. But typically you'll get a refeed meal, which is just more for your mental stability. And they'll be like, okay, this weekend you can have a Chick-fil-A sandwich and fries, or a small fry. And then, like, so that way you feel like you're not depriving yourself. And it's, I don't know. I just like the way that they, especially with Hillary and I's coach that we had. I'm not obviously doing bikini building. I'm a lifestyle, lifestyle client that could be doing better. But I just like the way that they set everything up, is because it's more female driven, and they check in with you every Monday and Thursday to see where you're at mentally, where your biomarkers are. They set up your plan in like 5 or 6 meals a day, so you're getting tons of food to the point that it's almost hard to like stuff it all in. But it's more so to like help grow your muscles, so that way your muscles will burn off the fat, so you're replacing the fat with muscle. It's just like really fascinating. I've been really like,
I was gonna say, if you look at what Hillary posts that she eats, I feel like this like last 20 minutes has just been Hillary. She's gonna get like she'll probably get the ick that we talked about her for so long. She'll be like this when she's listening to the podcast. I was going to say, the one other thing I was going to say, one, when she posts what her meals are, it's not like it's anything weird. The only weird thing is on their competition days, they have to like go eat pancakes to like inflate their muscles. Like that stuff is strange to me because my personal trainer is also a building body. The
glycogen. They need the glycogen to like pull in the fluids or something like that. There's a science to it. It's actually really fascinating.
I was going to say too, Phil actually and I were talking about this on the way home from Thanksgiving because Hillary's husband is an Olympian. And so I feel like their lifestyles like match because they both like work out like crazy. They both don't care about having like crazy flavorful meals. Like they just eat for performance a lot of the time. And I was saying with Phil, like it's always easier when Phil is on a plan as well because he loves candy. Like he's definitely addicted to like sugar. So I'll have like, I'm not really tempted by like Mike and Ike's though, you know, like that's not really my bag. Like if it was like he was eating symphony bars, I'd be like, oh, like I'm gonna have a hard time.
Those things are so good. It's hard not to eat a whole bar.
Literally, Whitney always puts them in my like little welcome bag when I stay at her house, and I'm like, okay, I'll just have one square. Okay, like I'll have like 2 squares, and then I'll be like, stop looking at me. I'll have another square. It's like that guy on TikTok, Max, when he was like, you guys, I'm not okay. I'm supposed to be dieting and I've eaten this whole chocolate bar. And then he's like going on. He's like, I'm spiraling. I was supposed to be at the gym. And then at the end of the video, he's like, okay, one more square. And like the video ends. That's literally me with symphony bars. Like the whole time I'm like, okay, I'm really done. And then I keep looking at him like, okay, one more. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? The guy with the the Disney pins guy.
Oh, that guy. Yeah. Oh yeah, that was hilarious.
He like goes on this whole video, like one of his viral videos was talking about, you know how he always starts his videos when he's like, you guys, it's not good. It's not good. And he was like talking about how he's having like body image issues and how he had this huge chocolate bar that was literally like a foot long, and he folds over the wrapper and shows that he's already eaten half in one sitting. And he's like, I'm supposed to be at the gym, I'm spiraling, and like he's going on and on. At the end he's like, okay, just one more square. And the video cuts off and I'm like, relatable. Oh, it's so funny.
That's funny.
He actually got sponsored by Disney. Did you see that?
Oh, really? He should have. That pin thing was hilarious.
It was so funny.
He's like, now I'm a pin collector.
Like I'm cracking about. He's like from the UK, but he sounds almost like Irish or something.
I feel like he's Irish or maybe even
well, and they have Disney over in Europe, right? They have one in France.
There's one in Paris. Yeah.
Paris.
I don't know.
And then there's one in Tokyo.
Is
that the only other place?
Scottish. Yeah, it's Tokyo.
So
it's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this is a really long episode. We could wrap up, but
it's like life update and everything in between.
Thank you for coming to this podcast about Hillary. And her dieting. Actually, probably shouldn't tell her that we talked about her because she'll be like, no. But we wanted to give you guys just like a brief, well, you know, actually very long life update about us and where we've been the last couple of weeks. Expect to see more sneak peeks of what we're going to drop on the Patreon, as well as possibly some new ads on our videos, which would be very exciting. So we will have the book podcast episode up very soon. I've already read the book. The girls have not finished.
I've actually read half of it, but it's been a while and I forget. So I need to listen to it again.
Yes. It's Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna Raybourn. If you guys would like to read along with us, I've since
to have it
like
done.
20 other books. Yeah.
We said we were going to have it done the week of
it was
Halloween.
October. Yeah. It's been a while.
I held up to my bargain, but I also picked a different book and then we nixed it like from like 4 months ago. So the book club has been in a struggle for a minute. So
the once a month might have been taking on too much.
Oh, for the next one, we should do a Christmas book.
We should.
Or by the time we do it though, we'd have to almost like recap it New Year's.
You guys have to read it in the next week and then we can do a Christmas book episode.
Yeah, we should do a cute little like Christmas
face. She goes,
we should do like a Hallmarky Christmas book. That'd be fun.
This is off topic, but speaking of Hallmark Christmas, so Candace Cameron's new Christmas movie came out. I was not a fan.
Really?
I think if a part of it is that she, like, the whole premise of the movie is that she essentially has like lost her faith over the years, or she has like a different relationship with the Lord than, her brother had. His brother lost his wife. And they went to visit them for Christmas to be with them, since they had just recently lost her. But the whole time, like, she's bickering with her husband. Like, there's just this like weird dynamic between like the relationship. And I was like, that's kind of depressing. Like, every Hallmark movie usually is like, they're looking for love, and then they like have this cute little ending or whatever. But I was just like, I don't really want to watch other people fight. I can do that in my own home. Yeah. It's just like, it just feels like everybody had like a bad attitude and stuff. And they were like not getting along great. And like at the end, and they realized they need to make more time for each other. And you're like, well, duh. But like, it was like, you know what I mean?
You're like, get some therapy.
It was kind of like,
do what the rest of us have done.
It was kind of depressing a little bit.
Oh gosh.
It was just not the same premise like you normally have for like a Christmas movie, that you walk away with like a feel good. You still walked away with like a feel good, but the whole movie was just kind of like, oh, you're being really annoying. Like, I
also don't understand why every Christmas book and movie is about a small business going out of business around the holidays. I'm like, that's triggering. Like, can we not? So I read a book like that, and it was the same thing. It was like super depressing. It was about a bookstore, and the entire time they're like talking about they're going in debt, and like they can't tell their daughter because they can't use like her college savings to save the bookstore. It was like so sad. And it only resolved in the last page. There wasn't enough for me to be like, oh, the bookstore is going to live. Like, it was just the whole time I was like depressed for the family. I would much rather us be like stressed about like whether the Christmas parade's going to happen or not, not like whether or not this like family business that's been in their house for generations is going to close. Like, there's a lot of books like that. And also, don't read Merry Little Meet Cute. It was basically it was corn.
Yeah, I've heard that one is really like racy. It was so rough. Over stuff like that. I'm just like, are we just writing books so that you can write sex scenes? Because that's not what I'm here for.
Yeah, I've said this a million times, but I don't mind if there's like relations in a book, if there was context to the relationship and that there was like actual buildup and like real connection. Not that I want to read like every little minute detail, but like sometimes it makes sense that there's like obviously that part of the book, but when they're just writing the book for that specifically, it just feels really unnecessary. Yeah, but some people like it. I don't know.
I started DNFing it. I'm just like, I don't have time for this. Like, people, I go into them blind, so I never know which ones it's going to be. But like, if I see a lot of people talking about certain books, I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go read that. And then as soon as that happens, I'm like, no, DNF. Like, it's not worth my time. I'm not here for that. Like, I just want like a good story. And I'm just beyond it. So thankfully I've done like Kindle Unlimited, so I'm able to like essentially borrow books. It's almost like its own like little library that you pay $10 a month for, and that has been nice because then I'm not buying these books and stuck with them, and I'm like, ugh, like this is a horrible book.
It's $10 a month and you read as many as you want.
Well, the authors get paid based on how many pages, how many users there are on Kindle Unlimited for that month, and how many of their pages got read. So you get a percentage of your pages based on users. So it's kind of the same concept. Like, people would have to actually physically buy your book for you to make money. Like if they were, books for purchase, but they pay you kind of based on like, it's kind of like streaming a song, essentially. So yeah. Anyways, okay, guys, thank you so much for watching the Sisterhood Society or listening Sisterhood Society podcast. If you liked what you heard, make sure to leave us a review on either Apple, YouTube. Wait, you can't leave reviews on YouTube. Just like subscribe to the Apple reviews are the most important. But you can find us anywhere that podcasts are hosted, like Spotify, YouTube, Apple, etc. You guys, we love you. Thank you so much for being here. We'll be back with more episodes soon, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.